छिन गया तो क्या गम है कि खूनी दिल में डुबो ली हैं उंगलियां मैंने. The coming generation is closely watching our Gandhian-like non-violent struggle. They are watching ever so closely where our path of seeking negotiation to resolve this dispute will lead. It is heartbreaking that Kashmiri Muslims and Kashmiri Pandits youth have grown up without each other's friendship. I am deeply worried that our culture of coexistence is under permanent threat if we are unable to end our separation soon. The longer this issue gets delayed, the more complicated it will become. Yet now in 2008, we are hearing that we should pass it on to yet another generation to deal with. And what has this passing of baton of the unresolved Kashmir dispute meant for the people of India and Pakistan? For 60 years, 3 generations of India and Pakistan have had to suffer the uncertainty of 4 wars, multiple crises, and the utter waste of resources. This has meant South Asia, home to 1 out of every 5 human beings in the world, has remained divided and unable to fully seize the opportunities of free trade and the free exchange of ideas and talent. The opportunity costs in terms of eradicating ignorance, tolerance, poverty and disease, in terms of pursuing development and in terms of creating harmonious and peaceful societies has been immeasurable. Yet, we are hearing statements in 2008 that we should pass on, along with the brand new nuclear arsenals, one of the world's most dangerous unresolved international conflict to yet another generation. What future do we want to pass on to the next generation of Indians, Pakistanis and Kashmiris? Will the next generation in Kashmir see the sacrifices of Kashmiris, yield them the gift of freedom and lasting peace, or will they continue to suffer the agony and uncertainty of this dispute? What future do we want to pass on to the South Asian region and to the world at large? Do we want to keep the future generation chained to the 20th century by conflict, or do we want to solve this issue once for all so that our future generations may together seize the open possibilities of 21st century? I must say, with deep and sobering honesty, these are among the most urgent questions we must all be asking ourselves today. In the text of invitation letter from India Today conclave, my attention was drawn to the fact that India has predominantly youthful population. When I looked into this a bit deeper, I was amazed to learn that India and Pakistan have 2 of the youngest populations in the world. The various projections show that our region will be getting even younger up until 2050. Many experts see this as a great asset and talk of a demographic dividend. But I say that this is as much a challenge as an opportunity. It will all depend on whether the future generations can grow up in an atmosphere of peace and justice, one where all our energies can focus on the challenge of equipping the new generations for success. We must all think deeper about the shift towards more youthful populations and what the consequences will be if we pass on a conflict like Kashmir dispute to increasingly younger population in a region plagued by inequality, intolerance, terrorism, poverty and disease. Our region is at crossroads, and there is doubt that this is the time for courageous and visionary leadership. In my opinion, the question that we ask about the type of future we want to give our coming generation are the same critical questions that the entire globe is faced with today. I believe that if we can all exercise enough courage, enough empathy, and enough imagination, find a permanent solution to the Kashmir dispute, we can surely show the world a practical way forward. So, if I could change the world, what would I propose we do? First, we must ensure that the world's conflicts are effectively and sincerely resolved through serious and inclusive negotiation process and creative problem solving. This is the time to solve the Kashmir dispute once and for all through good faith negotiations based on the principles of justice. Let us gift our future generations another more positive and creative problem for them to take share and solve. One, co-creative justice, co-creating values, co-creating knowledge societies, and ensure a prosperous South Asia. I was the first person to welcome the current peace process between India and Pakistan, but I am sorry to say that it has yet to become a serious, inclusive, and public peace process. Regarding the process, 3 basic things are needed. First, India and Pakistan must institutionalize the peace process. Second, all the key parties in both countries must formally be taken on board. Third, most importantly, self-representation and inclusion of the people of Jammu and Kashmir must be guaranteed in any good faith negotiation meant to decide the future of our homeland. I keep hearing these new buzzwords on 21st century leadership being discussed in India public discourse, especially in forums like these: servant leadership, global leadership, innovation mindsets, open possibility thinking, encouraging enterprise, and risk-taking. If we could apply the type of problem-solving spirit and forward-looking approaches these mantras embody to exercise leadership in the region, I am sure we can find a just and workable solution, one that is in accordance with the wishes of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and one that is acceptable to India and Pakistan. Second, we must provide positive and creative alternatives to the path of violence and must ensure a global culture of non-violence and tolerance for dissent. When I went out in search of Gandhi, in the land of Gandhi, I was shocked to find the spirit of Gandhi is no more. This time, the same country whose freedom struggle gives the world the examples of Ahimsa, which inspired the likes of Mandela and Martin Luther King and freedom-seeking people across the globe, has provided little space for a non-violent freedom struggle in Kashmir.